Episode 1 of The Rainmaker starts with a man waking up to find that his house is on fire. He tries to call out to his mother, who has already died in that fire, and he manages to escape before it burns down completely. And the episode then moves to introduce Rudy Baylor at a free legal clinic, along with other aspiring lawyers from his class. Now Rudy and his girlfriend Sarah offer free legal advice to people in need of help. Their latest client is a woman called Mrs. Black, who discusses the death of her son, who was admitted to the North City Hospital. He initially had a minor flu, and the hospital tried to settle the matter by offering her $50,000 for her son's life. And Sarah tells Mrs. Black that she and Rudy aren't able to help her because they're both going to start working with the law firm that North City Hospital had hired to resolve the case. Now Mrs. Black needs the support of an actual experienced lawyer, which leaves her in the dark. That night Rudy works his last shift as a bartender before leaving for work at Tinley Brick Corporate. Now Rudy's mother complains to him about her husband, which infuriates him. He confronts his stepfather Hank, which leads to the two men having a fist fight. To put an end to the fighting, his mother asks Rudy to move out of the house. And Rudy claims that he was looking for a place to move to anyway and leaves for work. And Sarah saves a spot for Rudy there, who is late on the first day. When Rudy shows, he is picked on by the firm's managing partner, Leo Drummond. And Leo calls Rudy out for being late, and the two end up discussing how victims of domestic violence are not treated equally by the law. And Leo challenges Rudy here, which leads him to bring up examples of multiple cases regarding domestic abuse of women. And Rudy presents his arguments with statistics, but Leo wants Sarah to challenge him. And Leo praises Sarah for a rebuttal, but Rudy stumps Leo by quoting one of his lines. After the meeting, Sarah learns about Rudy's fight with Hank and reminds him about learning to back away from unnecessary fights. And Rudy is fired from the firm and goes back to working at the bar. He starts looking for more places to work, while his old boss recommends Rudy try working for Jocelyn Bruiser Stone. There, Rudy meets the other lawyer working for Jocelyn, Deck Shifley. With no other options, Rudy agrees to start working for Jocelyn for $5,000 a month. Meanwhile, Sarah makes an impression on a high priority client who asks her to be put on his account. Leo is impressed with Sarah and tries to figure out what kind of lawyer she's actually going to be. That night, Sarah helps Rudy move into his new apartment, and Rudy doesn't want to move in with her, and some of that stems from how different his life is from Sarah's, who still lives off her parents' trust fund. The next morning, Deck shows Rudy the ropes as they try to secure a client for themselves. They go to the North City Hospital to find potential clients who might need lawyers to help them. Meanwhile, Sarah tries to talk to Leo about Rudy, asking him to consider giving the guy another chance. Leo puts Sarah in her place though, telling her that she has no business telling him what to do. On the other hand, Rudy manages to convince a patient from a hit and run case to hire him as their lawyer. And one of Deck and Bruiser's competitors, Rod, is also at North City Hospital looking for clients. He finds Melvin Pritchard, the man whose house was burned by the fire that killed his mother. Now Rod convinces Melvin to sign him on as a lawyer, while Rudy decides that he cannot keep waiting for a case and decides to meet Mrs. Black. Rudy tells Mrs. Black that he's no longer working for Tinley Britt and she doesn't have to pay him unless she wins the trial. After some convincing, Rudy manages to get on the case. That night, Sarah learns that Rudy is working on Mrs. Black's case and gets upset with him. She reveals that Leo had put her on the case and reminds him that they will be against each other in court. Sarah wants Rudy to drop the case, but he refuses to do so. The next morning, Mrs. Black's dog finds something in her yard that makes her suspicious that she is being followed. Now Rudy and Deck meet Rod outside the courthouse and tell him that Melvin was the nurse at North City Hospital on the night of Mrs. Black's son's death. Rudy and Deck present this case to Jocelyn, who finds loopholes in the case. She points out that Mrs. Black's son is actually an opioid addict, but Rudy claims that the opposition are willing to settle the case out of court, which means that there's something amiss here. Jocelyn permits Rudy to go ahead with the investigation, but makes him promise to keep going until he gets to the truth. Now Melvin tries to break into an empty house when a woman winds up stopping him, so Melvin injects her with something, causing her to pass out, bringing the episode to a tenuous end. So the Rainmaker gets off to an interesting start here, with a lot of similarities to shows like Suits or White Collar. The setup is quite similar, but I do love how the firm that Rudy starts working with is not some big conglomerate, but actually a small law firm. I can't help but notice how Milo Callahan, playing Rudy Baylor, looks like a mix of a young Matt Damon and Brad Pitt. Coincidentally, Matt Damon actually played Rudy Baylor in the 1997 film based on the John Grisham novel that this show is based on. This casting choice may have been intentional, but it's a treat to the eye nonetheless. The characters in this show certainly have depth, and with a familiar format of one episode releasing each week, we'll have to wait to see how this one progresses. So far so good though, and it leaves everything hanging in the balance for next week. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.